to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
This gymnasium is packed. It is absolutely packed. Yeah.
Five to shoot it. A three from Rush for the lead with 3 seconds to go. Lakers steal one.
Two personal fouls. Step back jump shot. Kareem's favorite move. Yeah, that's the Lakers and Minnesota split the 4 regular season meetings last year, both winning at home and on the road. Kareem Rush, one step. I'll tell you, it's not a trip.
We talk about Kareem Rush and his fallback shot. He likes to spin and then just fall away. He does that one.
Welcome to Alumni Talk, our new podcast focused on the ABL. We're here with Kareem Rush, former NBA basketball player and co-founder of the league and commissioner of the league. But before we get started with him, just want to kind of shout out the league. We had a successful 2022 with the Georgetown versus Maryland game. Looking forward to a full schedule in 2023. I'm Ricky Goins, the director of team operations. I'm excited to be a part of it and to grow it and to see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be amazing. We're going to bring a lot of people back into the fold and attract a lot of fans. So definitely follow us on Instagram at ABL Ballin, www.ablballin.com, also at the ABL USA on Twitter. This podcast will be on YouTube, Instagram, and also will be adding to Apple Podcasts shortly. So just to kind of talk about, our guest here, Big 12 legend, part of that Lakers, that Lakers family. Kareem, you can tell us a little bit about, you growing up. How did you just start off playing? I know you're from a family of ball players, but if you could just tell us how you got started.
Yeah, so started way back when I was like 9 or 10 years old. Uh, was lucky and blessed enough to grow up in a family with an older brother who was an amazing player. By the time my older brother Jerron, people around the world, especially in Kansas City, know Jerron, his story, the kind of player he was. You got guys like Paul Pierce, Corey Maggette, all those guys that era. Ask them about Jerron, everybody knows. So Jerron was the kid prodigy. By the time he was in 8th grade, he was the number 1 player in the country. So growing up in the household, with that over my head and something to strive for, just kind of pushed me to think like, if I can keep up with my brother, then I can keep up with anybody in the country. So, and I always got tired of being Jerron Rush's little brother. So I had to make my own name. So I was like, man, I gotta work on my game. I wasn't naturally athletic as Jerron because, like I said, Jerron was a man child, 6'7", 230 at like 15, 16 years old, doing NBA stuff. There was talk for him going pro as a junior. That's how good he was. So I wasn't that dude windmills on his last play ever in high school, windmill and he shattered the backboard. It was out of a movie. You couldn't plan any better. So I wasn't that. So, I was thinking, okay, I'm a left-hander, so let me utilize that advantage, work on my skills, work on, being a shooter. So I would literally go to the gym and just work on every single spot on the court so I can always feel comfortable shooting the ball. So really became my signature deal is being able to shoot the ball and put the ball in the hole. Ended up going to Mizzou. We had an amazing high school career together over at Pembroke, a small private two-way school. Private school is really known for education, but one of our sponsor of our AU team, Mr. Tom Grant, brought us over to Pembroke around my 7th grade year, John 8th grade year. So think of us going from the inner city kids growing up in the middle of the inner city to going to the most affluent school in Kansas City with the richest kids in the state. So we went over there, redefined Kansas City basketball in our era was literally on TV every day. You know, gyms packed every game we went to. I went 121-5 in high school. Won 3 state championships. I got the chance to win one without my brother my senior year, so that meant a lot to me. And that was really like the start of me not wanting to follow him to college, because at that point I thought Drama was going to KU. So I was like, okay, yeah, we go to KU. You know, that was kind of the logical choice for us, because Drama was up there every summer playing with Paul Pierce and them and dominating these guys as a junior. So it was like a foregone conclusion. Drama was going to KU. Ended up his senior year, things happened. They started recruiting him, and I was like, man, I was pissed. I'm like, I'm not going to go to KU. So where can I go that's not KU? So let me go to MU. And they wasn't really on the radar for me. But then Quinn Snyder got the job. And he came in, him and Tony Harvey came in, and my mom and grandma loved them. Me and Q had the same birthday, so I felt like we were kindred spirits. We were supposed to go together. I was first recruit down. I wanted to stay close to home. Jerron was out of UCLA. I was torn between going to UCLA because we wanted to be like the old Brandon Brothers 2.0. We always had dreams to play with each other in college. But that senior year, I was like, man, I can do this on my own. So I wanted to make my own name. So Mizzou is what it was. Went down there and had immediate success. Winning Big 12 co-freshman of the year with Bernard King at Texas A&M. I was the first freshman to lead the conference in scoring my freshman year, and then that kind of just small snowball from there. Sophomore year, led the conference in scoring, and then my junior year, was first team All Big 12, and then decided to leave, and was drafted in the first round.
Real quick, with your recruitment. So I know Missouri was there, Kansas was there. Was anybody else there that that almost got your attention, or was it just like?
Yeah, I mean, I went on a few trips. I went to. I was really looking at Oklahoma because they had Hollis Price, Kurt Heinrich, but I was really close with my boy Josh Kroenke, who was my roommate throughout college. It was supposed to be me, him, and Capono. Just Capono was supposed to come to Mizzou with us, but he ended up going to UCLA. But yeah, Oklahoma was up there. I said UCLA was there. Connecticut, I was talking to. Like I said, Mizzou came in, and once I met with Q, I was like, man, I'm good.
And I mean that's it's funny you hear that, because it's like you had a chance to play with your brother in the story program and in the history of the country. You go to Missouri, but you got it done there. I mean, I know for myself, I'm a left-handed shooter, so you was always one of my favorite players growing up. Because I took a lot from watching you. You probably don't even know that, but being able to catch and shoot the basketball is a skill that once you get it, you have it forever. So being able to watch guys do that was big time for me. So you entered the draft early. Talk about that and how you ended up and just your transition to the NBA.
Had an amazing sophomore year. Had a memorable game against Duke in the tournament. I had like 38-5 with this cast on my shooting hand. I broke my hand midway through my sophomore year, missed 7 games, but came back, played with this cast on my shooting hand, which is killing. And then I had that big game in Duke. So everybody wanted me to leave then. I wasn't really thinking about leaving at that point. It wasn't like even on my radar. But I probably would have been a top 5 pick after my sophomore year. I decided I wanted to come back because we were like, we had a dope jersey. We had the young coach, so we were like the shit. So I wanted to come back and try to win Player of the Year and like do some real stuff and bring that, especially from Mizzou. We never had that, so I wanted some historic stuff to happen for our team. So we came in preseason ranked number 2 my junior year. So we had big aspirations, but we didn't really understand what losing our point guard Brian Grauer did to us. Because especially after that sophomore year. Freshman year was cool, but sophomore year I kind of dominated. So it was a different kind of focus my junior year. So I was getting double teamed, and so not having that knockdown shooter really affected our offense. So didn't have as efficient year as my sophomore year, but still wanted to come out. Still figured I'd be a top 15 pick. Everybody had me slated going at the lowest to Indiana. At 14 at the time. I worked out with them twice during the workout process. They said if I was there at 14, I was going to go to them. So going to the draft, I was like, top 14, cool. I get into Indiana, throw right into it, walking right into a starting spot and do my thing. Draft night, it was happening. They just hired Isaiah Thomas. So, like I said, we going in thinking no less than 14. We in the green room. We out in New York. You don't want to slip. In the green room. So we sitting here. 14 comes and they pick Fred Jones. Like nobody has Jones slotted in the first round by any. So it was like the one mix up in the whole draft, and that was me. So end up slipping to 20. My brother was freaking out. It was crazy. It was hectic, but still was enjoying the process, man. That stuff happens. It's really just about getting in and what you do once you get in, which I didn't realize at a young age, which I do now at my old age. That's just really about getting in, getting your door in, and then you go out there and handle your business. So ended up getting drafted by Toronto, but Toronto's pick was controlled by the Lakers, so it's basically the Lakers picking me. I had to take the Toronto hat. Was like, man, I don't know nothing about Toronto. Knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't mind going to Toronto. I love Toronto, but was heated. Like, man, I want to go to Toronto, and then got the call midway on the way back to the hotel that I got traded to the Lakers. So you can imagine that changed the whole entire mood of the night, going right into they just come off the three-peat. So I was like, I'm walking right into a chip. So had a great time, and then went out to LA and started my career.
So talk about that, right? You going into, they're coming off the three-peat. You're talking about Kobe Bryant. You're talking about Shaq, Rick Fox, all these guys. Like, what was camp like? Like, as a rookie, a lot of times you go into situations like I remember being around the Wizards when John Wall's rookie year, right? Like it was I don't want to say it was a circus environment, but it was John's show, right? Like it's give him the ball and all that, and it's his arena. But you going into a team coming off a three-peat, they look like they're not just about the three-peat, but win like the next three. How do you even come in and be relevant in a situation like that?
It was crazy. I mean, but again, you are the rookie coming in. You was the first round pick, so there's still you still get love for that. But it was like you said, it's Shaq and Kobe. They're the top five, two of the top five players at that point in time. So it was like walking into the Beatles. Everywhere, every arena we played in was packed. Media was crazy. Expectations were crazy. Didn't play very much my rookie year, which because Phil just didn't like rookies. But I gained the respect of players. I still had my Mizzou mentality. People still knew me from that, so I was still offensively there. And I like to go at code. I respected them, but I was still aggressive and try to go out there and do my thing. So that first year was all about learning, being a pro. More importantly, being in LA, coming from being a Kansas City kid and then going out to living in LA, there were some learning things that needed to be had. Had some fun, and then my second year, got really focused and kind of had a more significant role with the team. Hit those 6 threes in the Western Conference Finals to put us in the finals. So that was dope. And then was going actually until my third year. After our second year, we lost in the finals, obviously, in 2004 to Detroit.
Hold on. We got back for 1 minute, right? So 2003, 2004 is supposed to be one of the best teams in NBA history. I remember I had never been a hater of the Lakers all my life, but I wanted y'all to win that one for GP and Karl Malone. I mean, you're in that locker room, and I was going to get to that where people remember Derek Fisher's shot with .4, but they forget what you did in Game 6 against the Timberwolves, those 6 threes. But, like, what was that team like? Like, what was the, with Phil and, I mean, just playing with 4 of the 75 greatest. I don't know if anybody else was on the team that, you guys used to have a lot of, like, 11 through 13 that were Hall of Famers. But, like, what was it like being in that locker room with 4 of the 75 greatest that ever played, knowing you're expected to go, like, 82-0, and then trying to finish it off? Like, what was that like for you?
I mean, but at the time, Kobe was going through the stuff in Denver, So we came out to a hot start. I mean, we started off 18-3, and then we dealt with injuries, so we came out like out the gates killing. So we was like, we winning it. Even after the whole entire season where it was up and down, Kobe was in and out of the lineup, which helped me. It gave me confidence because every time he didn't play, I started. I had a 30-point game. I got a chance to really go out there and get some reps when he was out. So it was a benefit for me. But that team was crazy, man. It was, GP and Karl were cool. It was still obviously a Shaq and Kobe show, but it was just fun to be a part of. This is my second year, so this is all I've known. So this is what I think the NBA is. And then we said to have a chance to really compete for a championship and actually be a part of it, to be able to go out there and play throughout the year and have a role was real dope.
One thing we do on the podcast is anybody that played with Kobe, you got to give us a Kobe story. So before we move on to the ABL, give us a Kobe story.
So I'm fresh out to LA, so I'm getting there. I want to. It's like my first time going to the gym. I'm going there. I try to get there a couple hours early to show that I'm focused, I'm ready. Thinking I'm going to be the first one there, but I get there and literally it's probably, I think practice started like 8, and I got there like 6:30, whatever. Kobe was in the middle of the court, half court, with no ball, like dripping sweat, like working on footwork, like pivots in the middle of the court. Like he'd been here since 4. I was like, man, and that was like really my first introduction to, before the mom mentality deal became like kind of a coin phrase. That was like my first exposure to it, to see how hard that dude worked on a day in day and out, especially with the distraction that LA has, being who he was. Like that's amazing that he was able to have that singular focus on, like literally everything he did, like scheduled out, was how to be a better basketball player that day, which was crazy to see.
So kind of shifting gears here to the ABL. I just want to kind of give us a background on where it came from, why you're so excited about it, and what you think it can be.
Being a former player, still thinking I got a little bit left in the tank and wanting to create something that we can get back out there. I was one of the first members of the Big Three, so I saw how that league came together. I saw how many guys wanted to play, and this is probably a few years in that the TV was already established. So I saw that the need for more opportunity for guys to play here and monetize their name and their careers, and don't want to go overseas, and still got a little bit left in the tank. They might not want to play a full season. That's kind of where the initial idea came from. In 2018, I wanted to kind of test the concept. I put a game on because I knew how big the KU-MU rivalry was here in Kansas City. So I wanted to bring back some guys from both sides and put it on for charity that we did for the Boys and Girls Clubs to kind of see what it was. The city went crazy for it, and realized then that I had something. Really had a plan for the second year. I had 4 teams coming in. I had KU and K State, and then Mizzou and Arkansas. Were the 4 teams that were supposed to come in 2019. Ended up running into some schedule conflict. The TBT and the Big Three actually fell on the same weekend. I played my game months before. They came in and the guys were playing on. A few guys were playing in the TBT, and then the KU team were playing in the TBT. So we had to cancel the second year. So then COVID hit for 2 years. So it's kind of sitting on the shelf there. Wasn't thinking much about it. End up fast forward to this past March, we're down in Mizzou for our 20-year reunion for our Elite 8 run, and I run back into Jake. And Jake asked what I've been up to, and I told him about this idea. He told me he had invested in the NBL, the Breakers, and also in the soccer team in Mexico. So he was really into the sports space and looking for ideas. So I told him a little bit about the ABL. He's like, I love it, man. Let's, I get behind it with you and help you put it together. So that was in March. And then we really just started to focus on how can we pull off a game this year. Our initial plans were to do a KU-MU game. Couldn't find the right team for the Mizzou team. So end up connecting with Coop, who Jake was still in contact with. And then we started talking to Coop. Coop said he had some connections, in the DMV, with Chris and Travis initially. And then we started the conversations there. Obviously, he brought you and Mark on, and the rest is history, man. So that's kind of where it started. We obviously have big visions for it. And we're in the process kind of, knocking that out and looking forward to 2023 and with a full schedule.
So one of the things, before we wrap it up, is I want you to kind of talk about like what a college rivalry means. So part of this is it's not just seeing the guys in their old uniforms, is also seeing them in the old uniforms playing against somebody they really didn't like. Like the fans really loved that. So just talk about like I guess the Kansas Missouri, like what that rivalry really meant to Kansas City and to Kansas Missouri and what that can mean around the entire country.
Think about historic rivals. You think of the Lakers, Celtics. You think of Duke, North Carolina. the KUMU is in the same vein as those. This stuff you're born into. I still walk around daily, and you get some KU chants or this is something about MU. So it's bred into the city, and they support it. What also kind of, sparked this for me to kind of bring this league together. They had a charity game, KU versus MU, prior to them reestablishing that rivalry. They started playing last year. So the game was crazy. They raised like $2.5 million. The city went crazy for it. So that really was the purpose for me starting my game. I was like, man, the city want to see this game. So those rivalries run deep, man. You only get a chance to play those guys 4 years. Like I said, guys still like to talk shit. So it made sense for me. I want to play against my brother. Didn't get a chance to play for him many times in NBA. But for us to be able to, and never in college, but for me to put on my black and gold and him put on his KU colors and me go out there and beat his ass, that's perfect for me.
Before we go, is there anything else you have going on outside of ABL that you want to tell everybody about? I know you do some stuff in real estate, so we want to make sure we highlight anything you have going on that weekend.
Yeah, real estate that's the Kansas City focus still, but we are working on our ABL Impact Foundation. Our mission there is to support all of our players, support nonprofits locally where we're going to play, and also kind of develop our own programming where we have this the business of sports. So for young guys coming up, for guys who are going to participate in our league, for the summer months, be able to come in and learn different avenues to still be involved with the game. Not everybody's going to play in the league. Not everybody's going to play professionally. But if you want to learn how to, what a ref does, or how to be an agent, or how to be what front office people do, or what a financial planner needs to do, we're going to develop that for our foundation. So I'm looking forward to kind of building that, man. Like I said, Ricky, I'm appreciative of everything you're doing, man. Getting this stuff, lined up. This is going to be an important piece to what we're doing for our network. So much appreciated, man.
Appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity, man. I really appreciate this. I've been in the alumni business for a while on a very much smaller scale, so being able to do this on a national level is very intriguing and exciting for me. And it's hard work, but when you see it on game day, it's nothing like it, man. So appreciate you, Kareem, man. Definitely we'll be talking to you going forward. Everybody, appreciate you tuning in, however you're tuning in, whether it's on Apple or Instagram, YouTube. We'll be posting weekly. Again, www.ablballing.com. At ABL Balling on Twitter, on Instagram, and then at USA, at the ABL USA on Twitter. So thank you guys. This is produced by Enspire Films, Ethan Goins, up and coming production company. So appreciate that, and we'll see you next time.